Hey guys, King of Charmass here. Today I'll be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. And just like a DJ, you know, if you're remixing and you're trying to come up with a song, unfortunately Niantic really sucks at creating songs because they created something called the Ultra League Remix, where the top 20 Pokemon were banned instead of like the top 50 or something like that. And because of that, this league is just full of XLs. So unfortunately, there won't be a lot of music to your ears unless you have a ton of XL Pokemon for the Ultra League Remix. There are some things that aren't XL that can work, but generally, if you are on the poor man's side, like if you watched Oliver Twist, please sir, can I have some more? Unfortunately, you will not be able to have some more because unless you have a lot of XLs. Anyways, as I always say, please consider contributing to pboat.com, and this is my top 5 teams for the Ultra League Remix. Be warned, this league is very unforgiving. It's a very pay-to-win or pay-to-play type of style, or kind of paid for a walker or use defense. Or I'm pretty sure some of you have legitly got, if you play that hard, I commend you, but a majority of you won't be able to compete against a lot of the top meta unless you have XLs. Sadly, they're just that powerful. But if you do have it, Ultra League Remix can be a lot of fun. And sadly, the reason why I stress that Ultra League Remix is not for those of you that do not have a lot of Stardust or a lot of XL Mons for Ultra League in general. A lot of the budget picks that you can use, for example, Swampert, Venusaur, etc., are all banned. So this equals this cup right here, which is the Ultra League Remix. Pidgeot can be a good XL to use if you have one. Unfortunately, that's banned as well. So, without further ado, I bring to you my top 5 teams in the Ultra League Remix. Alright, so for team number 5, I have Drifblim XL, Stunfisk XL, and Scrafty XL. Galarian Stunfisk XL is an incredibly powerful Mon. You will see me do a deep dive analysis on it, on just how it absolutely obliterates everything, and if you do have one, it mixes well with a whole lot of teams. Drifblim XL is an incredibly powerful lead for the Ultra League Remix, and Scrafty is a beast when it's an XL as well, just because you can either rev up with Power Up Punch, or you have such a strong, or Foul Play does big damage. So, as you see here, this team has amazing coverage, great bulk, safety, and consistency. This team does incredibly well against what I mentioned before. Remember how I said G-Fisk is a very dangerous Mon? All 3 of these bonds have a great matchup against G-Fisk, or you essentially just mirror G-Fisk itself. As you see here, this team does really well against G-Fisk, Deoxys Defense, and Jellicent. Jellicent can give you a little bit of an issue, but in order for Jellicent to win the 2-shield against Drifblim, you have to get a Shadow Ball through shield. So just keep that in mind. Drifblim still has a very strong match against Jellicent in the 2-shield. So as you see, really good against the overall meta. And the only issue is really Drifblim itself. As you see, if you get a Drifblim lead, whoever wins the mirror is basically going to have a great time. And whoever doesn't win the lead, well, one of you is going to have to eat a Shadow Ball, or you're going to have to bait successfully, is going to have a wonderful time against the other person. Jellicent can also give you an issue, but like I mentioned, Drifblim does win CMP against Jellicent, and it has a lot more potential to be a lot more dangerous against Jellicent than the other way around, just because, like I said, it wins CMP, so you're both going to have to Shadow Ball each other to death. So, depends on how you play out that Hex Mirror match with either Drifblim or Jellicent. Mandibuzz can give you an issue. Unfortunately, Mandibuzz has a very strong match against Drifblim. G-Fisk and Scrafty can beat Mandibuzz, but it really depends on like which Mandibuzz it is. If it's an Air Slash Mandibuzz, Scrafty doesn't have a super strong matchup against it. If it's a Snarl one, then it's a little great. But as you see, this team is really good, except for like the Ghost Mirror match like I mentioned. Other than that, or Ghost Mirror match or Ice, which isn't really going to be super popular, which you see here, Piloswine. You're not likely to see a Piloswine, etc. As you see here, as long as you don't encounter a like normal type, the Ghost Mirror match, or basically Dark types in the lead, it's perfectly fine. But either way, you could say switch into G-Fisk and then just play out the matchup. But overall, this team is very good. Low threat score of 598. For the Ultra League Remix, anything close to a 600 threat score is pretty low. So just keep that in mind. But as you see, this team is incredibly powerful, does a lot of damage over time, and has a ton of coverage against the Ultra League Remix meta. Alright, next up I have Shadow Champ. I wanted to make a Machamp team because Shadow Champ is a very powerful lead. This one has Payback though. It's also using Shadow. You could use a regular Machamp. Doesn't really affect it too much, but as you see, you have Payback. Machamp is actually pretty dang good in the lead for the Ultra League remix just because of the fact that you can have Jellicent, you can have Drip Limbs, etc. So you can blast through shields with Payback, or you can grab a shield, etc., or sacrifice Machamp in the lead. As you see, this is Machamp Double Flyer. I have Mandibuzz as your safe switch and Skarmory to close out. Bees across the board, great coverage, bulk, safety, and consistency. This team basically has Shadow Champ being the unholy hell out of the poor Pancake and Galarian Stunfisk. So if you like breakfast, if you like Waffle House, unfortunately, well, you know, Waffle House is only available for like Tucson or something like that. Unless it's Cracker Barrel, then, you know, on the eastern side of the United States, yes, I like food. I love talking about food. Both of the restaurants I mentioned, by the way, are actually pretty dang good. More Cracker Barrel than Waffle House, though, so just keep that in mind. Anyways, as you see here, Mandibuzz and Skarmory do really well at covering Machamp's weaknesses for the Ultra League Remix meta. If you go down, scroll down, this team is weak to, however, one big thing, which is basically electric types. This team banks on that you don't essentially see an electric type. Electric types aren't super common for this meta. Other than Galvantula, which is also very dangerous for this meta if you do see one, if you have Galvantula XL. Other than that, as you see here, as long as you're able to avoid a majority of electric types, this team does exceptionally well against the entire... does really well, actually. It has a threat score of 665, but that's only because of electric types. And like I said, unless you see an electric type, this team will still do very well. Or an Alolan 9, basically an electric type or Alolan Ninetales. If it's a Charmtails, then we have an issue. But if it's a Powder Snow one, it's not super bad. Shadow Champ can win straight cross chop, so just keep that in mind. Alright, now this is the big three, like in basketball. Yeah, a big three is basically a super team. Well, not really a super team, but, well, technically it is like, well, a super team is like 4 superstars, but 3 teams is three all-stars and everything is basically a super team as well. If you're a fan of basketball, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you that are in the United States, let's hope Team USA can pull through because, man, they are getting destroyed despite the fact that entire team is more than the big three and there's a lot of stars on that team. Anyways, what I mean by big three is this takes the most powerful lead, the most powerful safe switch, and the number 2 Deoxys defense. So it's literally like a super team. The All-Stars, if you watch Space Jam 2, it's a fantastic movie, definitely recommend. But this is an incredibly powerful team using the most powerful ranked meta Pokemon in Ultra League Remix, and it's scary just how good it actually is. You have the option of using Ice Beam for Jellicent as well. I found that it doesn't really matter too much, but if you want that extra coverage against ghost types, as in like Drifblim, etc., you can put it on there. However, with Bubble Beam, you do get bait and debuff potential, so it's really up to you. Jellicent is the most powerful, like I mentioned. We take the second most powerful, well, the most powerful safe switch, and the second most powerful closer in Deoxys defense. This Deoxys defense XL has Rock Slide Psycho Boost. As with Bing, all of these are XLs, and it's a really expensive team. But if you have spent the money, or if you do have these Pokemon, it's really freaking good. As you see here, A for coverage, A for bulk, and A for safety. Amazing across the board with the exception of consistency, just because the problem, well, it's just basically Jellicent. Hex is slow, so because Hex, well, Hex not really slow, but because Hex is in this team, you have a C for consistency. But as you see, everything else is just absolutely nuts. So, other than consistency, this team is just absolutely, like, nuts. Now, as you see here, does extremely well against a lot of the meta. When you have Galarian Stunfisk and Deoxys defense, like 2 safe switches apparently, like, pretty much, it's really freaking good. This is essentially a double safe switch team, as you see here, and with your only real issue across the board being whatever beats Jellicent, of course. As you see here, Jellicent doesn't have a great time against other Jellicents. Whichever one hits the Shadow Ball first will win that mirror match. And as you see here, Dark types can also give you an issue. Not so much for Deoxys defense, though. The unique thing about Deoxys defense and the reason why this team ranks so high is because it's so bulky, but also has access to Rock Slide and Thunderbolt. I like Rock Slide just because you're able to fire a lot more moves, so other than that, like, being able to just Rock Slide everything to death is absolutely great. This team will put a lot of pressure on your opponent. You have Galarian Stunfisk to cover Jellicent and Deoxys defense. You scroll down here, 608 is a pretty low threat score. Like I said, anything close to 600 is a great threat score. This team does exceptionally well, and Deoxys defense does surprisingly good against a lot of combinations just because of its moveset, which is why in Ultra League Remix, it's one of the most powerful mons in Ultra League Remix. But as you see here, when you take the big three, it's a really, really powerful team. Alright, for the next team, this team's, well, it's not friendly in a sense. It just has Gengar for a lead. Gengar is actually a very interesting lead. It's a top lead because its ability to pressure so hard with Shadow Punch and Shadow Ball, minus the fact that you do see a Dark type in the lead. However, combined with Politoed as your safe switch and Deoxys defense, it actually is incredibly powerful. As you see here, A for coverage, C for bulk, A for safe. Basically, it's really great. It's amazing for coverage and safety. Good on bulk, and the only reason it's so low on bulk is just because of Gengar itself. Gengar is very glassy, but does a ton of damage and breaks a lot of shields. You can basically use Gengar to bait your opponent's shields and then sweep with the back row because of the amount of pressure that Politoed and Deoxys defense can put on your opponent. And that's why there's a B for consistency. As you see, incredibly well, Gengar does function Gengar does really well against the Ghost and Deoxys defense just because of the fact it triple resists counter and it has Shadow Punch. So you put a lot of pressure on those Drifblims as well as Jellicent. Of course, things like G-Fisk or other ground types can give you an issue. Meganium can also give you an issue as well just because Meganium is very bulky, so Gengar being glassy doesn't really help its case. But as you see, it does a lot of damage in the lead, and you could basically sacrifice Gengar to come out with shield advantage if you want to. Politoed is your safe switch. You can also use DD as a safe switch, but Politoed is your main safe switch for this team. This team has Blizzard Politoed, by the way. I put Blizzard. You don't really need Earthquake for Politoed for anything, plus Blizzard does give you coverage, or gives you a chance to cover Meganium as well as other flyers, which is what Blizzard Politoed does. You will be able to beat Galarian Stunfisk straight Weather Balls, so because of that, Politoed is just such a beast in Ultra League Remix. As you see here, this team is incredibly powerful. Because Pidgeot is still banned, just because Pidgeot's still banned, Gengar still does very well. Outside of seeing a Pidgeot, Politoed and Deoxys defense, again with Blizzard, Politoed can give Pidgeot a run for its money, and Deoxys defense it's very bulky and it does have Rock Slide, resulting in a very low threat score team. So if you like Gengar and you do have Gengar, Politoed, and Deoxys defense, not likely Deoxys defense, but Gengar is pretty dang good for Ultra League Remix, as you see here. Alright, and last but not least, this team is actually, in my opinion, the strongest team, only because of one particular reason. This is the strongest team in Ultra Premier Cup. Jellicent XL, Alolan Ninetales XL, and Scrafty XL. I actually predicted this team would be an absolute monster for Ultra Premier, and it's actually going to be good in Ultra League Remix as well. Because all of these are very inaccessible, all three of these Pokemon dodge the ban hammer. Yeah, they all dodge the ban hammer. So unfortunately, there won't be a lot of the, if there's sometimes an elevator can lift Thor's hammer, and if it is able to lift it, it is worthy. And somehow, basically, all of these Pokemon are ninjas, and they avoided Thor's hammer. So, just a good analogy. But other than that, this team is incredibly powerful. Again, it is the most powerful Ultra Premier team statistically as of Season 8 Part 1, so it's still really freaking good. As you see here, because Ultra Premier is not available, you only have Open Ultra League, this team is still really freaking good. So if you're used to using it and you play Ultra Premier primarily with all three of these mons, it's still really good. As you see, A for coverage, amazing coverage, great bulking safety, and basically the only reason it has a C for consistency is literally because of Jellicent, because Hex is slow. That's literally the only reason why. I don't know why it's like that, but you know what? It's what it is. As you see here, this team is incredibly powerful. As long as Jellicent, Alolan Ninetales is your safe switch for this team. You can use Charm A9. Charm A9 works. Powder Snow A9 works. It's really just up to you. But as you see, this team is incredibly strong. With your biggest problems literally being Regirock. How many people are going to have an Ultra League Regirock? Not a lot of people. Stunfisk, Pidgeot's banned. But the biggest thing that's probably going to give you a hard time is probably Gengar, Mandibuzz, or Ferrothorn. Things that basically core break this team. Ferrothorn XL is incredibly powerful. It will do a lot of damage, but as you see here, this team is still incredibly strong. So despite having a Ferrothorn XL, this team can still do really well. Statistically, in the Great League Remix, with the lowest threat score I could possibly see, this team has the lowest threat score out of all of I've seen. 590 is pretty low, but as you see, that just proves when these three aren't banned that just how powerful this entire team is. Again, this is the most powerful Ultra Premier team, and it should serve you well because of all the band combinations that were put together. This team's arguably even safer than it was for Ultra Premier for the Ultra League Remix. And that's GG's. I sound really dead, but only because a lot of Pokemon are going to be dead in the Ultra League Remix, or you're just not going to play the Ultra League Remix. You will play in Open Ultra. So the thing about Open Ultra League, it's really not that bad, guys. Like, it's really, like, you know, it's actually a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot better to read the Ultra League Remix meta than, the Open Ultra League meta rather than Ultra League Remix. I made Legend in Season 6 and Season 7 in Open Ultra League. It's not that bad. In Ultra League Remix, however, it's filled with really expensive mons who, when you put them together, are actually insanely powerful. So, the thing about Ultra League Remix, it's going to be pretty much a giant pay-to-win league. That's literally what it is, because there's no, like, limits for XL. So many good XL Pokemon dodged the bullet, or they were released later, like Deoxys Defense. That Ultra League Remix is just really unfriendly for those of you that are looking to go into it. I also can't make a budget video for Ultra League Remix, just because the thing about Ultra League Remix, a lot of 10k mons are basically banned, and because of that, it's not really a cheap mon. And if I've tried to test a few things that are 10k in that meta, and it's not really great. So, with that being said, Ultra League Remix is not for the cheap of heart, or it's not your fault, okay? It's not our fault that Niantic just has an incredibly bad... They have really bad people that make these metas, or these cups, that really just, in turn, just really don't really make it competitive. It's just like, oh, okay, you know, we put something together. Hey, boss, look, here's what we got. Let's promote this. And the boss is like, okay, cool. And then let's just promote this cup because, yay. Whoever said top 20 was a bad idea, or was a great idea, top 50 would have been great. Or just do drop bans and unranked. Yeah, it's what it is. Anyways, again, there's not really a potential for budget for Ultra League. I can try, but it's not going to be great. Let me know in the comments if you want me to try to make a budget video for Ultra League Remix. Other than that, either just skip this altogether or play Open Ultra League. It's not that bad. Open Ultra League, as crazy as it sounds, is actually a lot better than this one because Open Ultra League's been out since Season 1. So if you played Open Ultra League at least once, it's likely going to be a hell of a lot better than this cup, which, like I said, is basically pay to win, or whales. The whales. They should call Ultra League Remix the whale meta, because it really is like filled with whales. Like, you know, people that spend a ton of money on gaming, like me, but not as much as on Pokemon Go as I used to. Anyways, if you could do me a huge favor and to support my goal of 3k subs by the end of the year, can you like and subscribe the video, please, for the YouTube algorithm? It's totally free. Did I mention it's free? And all you have to do to subscribe is literally put your mouse on the bottom right. You see that little box that says subscribe? Put your mouse over it. You can easily subscribe. Only takes a few seconds, and like I said, totally free and really helps out the channel. Hopefully, if you do subscribe, I do appreciate you, and all my subscribers that are currently subscribed, I really do appreciate you as well. Like I always do. I always say that at the end because I really do appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys have hopefully you do have mons for Ultra League Remix. Other than that, like I said, just play Open Ultra League. It's not that bad. Good luck in your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.
Charmander!